I'm Chris Douridas, Morning Becomes Eclectic on KCRW. Happy to welcome back to Southern California, Jane Siberry. Hi, Jane. Good morning.
Morning, Chris.
Good to have you back. I want to point out that you actually did a show at the Ash Grove at Santa Monica Pier last night, and this will be your final performance before taking off, right?
This was, yes.
This morning's performance.
This morning, yeah.
This will be
And then this is the end of the tour, yeah.
end of the tour. This song that we just heard was from your last record with Warner Brothers Records, and you've in the last 2 years you formed your own record label.
Well, it's a year this May.
A year this May that
Mhm.
you formed Sheba, but I guess longer than that since you left Warner Brothers.
Yeah, a little bit longer, yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually a new album, a recent album called Teenager that was released on your own label, Sheba, that
Yeah.
we've been playing on the air since you put it out, and people can find actually a number of different ways now, because not only have you formed your own label that is a mail order situation, but you're also now being distributed in the States by Koch.
Yeah, that's right. In Canada, too.
How's that going? How's it feeling being the chief executive of your own record label?
Well, it's very... I feel like I've returned to my roots, except with, miles ahead of where I was, 10 years ago or 20 years ago. But it's very satisfying to, sell, like, 3 records and sit in the office and hear people take orders. I get so much pleasure out of hearing a connection made between, the people who work in my office and people from all around the world who now can access everything I do. Then I think I used to sell, the pleasure I used to get from knowing I sold a lot more through Warner Brothers, but I never had a sense of the people or the stores.
There's more numbers as opposed to...
Yeah, the pleasure principle factor is much higher now.
It's interesting. So when you say that you feel like you've returned to your roots...
As in being more connected with the people who are following what I do. And now, I don't know how long I'll do it, but when I tour, I go out after the show and I sign things and I make sure people are on the mailing list, and I get... there's a feedback that I'm getting that's really important to me right now, to make direct contact with people and to thank them in person for, what's helping me get this new record label going.
Well, in doing so, you've also had to sort of get the tools together, the vocabulary, the education together. You've been taking courses in small business management and things like that?
Yeah. Yeah, just scanning through the basic principles of small business to make sure there isn't something that jumps out that I had no clue about. But I feel like everything's in order, and sort of the team of people around me is a wonderful team, and we're getting our feet on the ground. And Teenager really helped, since it was, just sort of a private release, really. It wasn't meant to get a lot of exposure.
Well, you've been taking courses in small business and the internet, and I also see that you've been taking courses in self-defense. How does that factor in?
Self-defense. I'm just getting my shit together on all levels.
Okay. Well, what I know that last time we saw you, I think you were recording your shows and recording things for what would eventually become a live album.
Yeah, and I did 3 shows in New York this fall with 3 different themes with 12-piece bands each time. That was a live trilogy that was going to come out of double CDs each, a Christmas one and then one for films and forests, and one called Nasty and Delicious, which was a lot of spoken word.
Nasty and Delicious?
Yeah, and I don't know if you know Reno, but Reno and Amy Ziff from the band Betty, wonderful monologists, got up and joined me on stage. It was a very funny show, wasn't it, Rebecca? It was wild. Anyway, 3 sort of completely different, but all live, because I think live music is just the greatest. And anyway, they were about to come out starting in September, really, but I didn't realize I had a re-recording clause with Warner Brothers, and the feeling was that why would they care if I re-recorded my own songs anyway? I'm just small potatoes, but apparently they want to invoke it, which means spiritually I just can't put these records out and sit down and write Warner Brothers a check quarterly for the rest of my life. It just feels so wrong. So I've canceled them. I'm just going to wait till the re-recording clause terminates.
I see.
They gave me the impression that it was going to be waived and no problem. And as a matter of fact, as far as making a good business decision goes, I think if they wish me all the success in the world and, want me to release these live records with some of my older songs, there's much greater chance of them recouping from past work. Isn't that right, Chris? You work at a record label now. Isn't that just common sense?
Well, I'm just learning all this, so I'm not sure. It sounds sensible to me.
So by actually having me put them off actually is sort of works against themselves. So it doesn't seem logical to me. But common sense is not a big factor in a lot of business decisions, it seems to me. Not from the boys' school, anyway. That's my opinion.
Well, hopefully you'll sort it out, and we'll get something out from you in terms of your live performances sometime down the road here. You've actually also completed work on another new album, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did. While I was worrying about all this live stuff, I did a little, private release CD. I hope to create a stream of private releases that go out with no press, no distribution to stores. Just like really interesting things that I don't really want to have a lot of foo-fa-ra around them. So it's called A Day in the Life. It's from New York, and it's about 30 minutes, and it's sort of snippets from different musical projects I've been working on, and arguments with cab drivers, and hairdresser confrontations, and it's a very funny record, and so we're sending that out next month, and that's part of my trying to find new ways to since I don't get record company advances to make new work, to find new ways to support what I do to bring out other things, including books and stuff like that.
Plus some collaborations that you've done. We'll get through, we'll probably talk about them a little bit later on before we're through this morning, but I want to go back before we start our live performance segment here to the fact that when you said live is really it, live is for you where so much is happening at the moment. And is that something new? I remember that you've always done live shows and live tours, but it seems to me that you're getting so much more from the live performances lately than ever before.
Well, I'm at a level now where I feel I can improvise, which means going onto a new plateau of being able to listen and responding to the musicians that I'm playing with, which really features them, which really allows us all to move towards our max. And I don't think I was a good enough singer 2 years ago, and I hope to be a much better singer 10 years from now, but I'm at a level where I can do this live on stage, and it's where it's at. It's real, and I think it's super respectful to the audience. There's no it's wide listening, and it's electrifying because everyone has to be totally present. So you get everyone's physicality is supercharged, and the audience feels it, and it's recycles. I just think it's the greatest thing, and it's greatest thing, and it's respectful, and it's much needed in this day and age where most people feel like they're being wanked, so to speak. Someone's trying to sell you something.
Speaking of the physicalities that are in the room with us right now, we have Rebecca Campbell helping out on backup vocals.
Hello. Co-vocals.
Co-vocals. And Tim Ray, who you heard featured on that last piece, Maria, is with us in the studio as well. Thanks for coming down, Tim.
Sure, thanks, Chris.
It's Jane Siberry in live performance. Morning Becomes Eclectic on KCRW.
My mother is not the white dove. She is the flight of a white dove. My mother, she is the sunlight that flashes upon the river that wends its way beneath the flight of the white dove. Oh, yes, yes. Yes, yes. And when I feel it feeling me, that flashes upon the beating breast of the white dove. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Oh, oh, oh. And when I do not feel her feeling me, and when I do not feel her feeling me, when I do not feel her feeling me, that is when I am truly lost. Oh, my mother, my mother, my mother, mother. Oh, my mother, my mother, my mother, mother. My mother, she is the blackness against which the stars are pressed. She is oh, the constellation that grates upon our oh, humanness. Oh, and when I feel her feeling me, and when I feel her feeling me, that is when I am truly whole. Oh, my mother, my mother, my mother, mother. Oh, my mother, my mother, my mother, mother. I wanna say, my mother, she is oh, she is the long cries. She is a long cry that is pulled from our hearts as we float upon the black ocean of our, and as we lift our countenances, as we lift our faces from the lap of loneliness. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, my mother, my mother, my mother, mother. She is the flight of love. She is the flight of love. White
My Mother Is Not the White Dove. Jane Siberry in live performance on KCRW's Morning Becomes Eclectic. Jane Siberry with Rebecca Campbell helping out on vocals, and Tim Ray at the piano. That's actually a song that appeared on the album Arcane from Real World Records some years back. That correct me if I'm wrong, Jane, but that's something that you wrote together with Ayub Agata and Alex Gifford.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Gifford, people will know for his work with the Propellerheads lately.
Mm-hmm.
But the lyrics are yours, and this was sort of a collaborative project that came out of the Real World sessions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only place that people can find this at this point.
Yes, it was going to be on our live trilogy, but oh, goodbye, goodbye.
Okay. Oh, that one counts too? That one's written back then? I guess so, yeah. I guess so. Anything that you had written.
No, it's because the live trilogy isn't coming out, period.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. We are hearing a live set from Jane Siberry, who appeared last night at the Ash Grove at Santa Monica Pier, and what you're hearing is really the final performance in Southern California. It's they're closing the tour. I'm going to let you head into the next one here. Whatever. What's next?
Oh, Chris, I wanted to ask you about what it's like working at DreamWorks. That's where you are now. Is that public knowledge, or did I?
Yeah, no, it's definitely public knowledge. Yeah. What's it like?
Yeah, I mean, have you ever worked at a record label before?
No, I've never worked at a record label.
Was it a big dream for you to work at a record label?
No, not at all. No, actually, it never really occurred to me. But when they put together the team that they did for this label, they just sort of went to very interesting characters, and it just seemed like something I thought I'd try. Just try it out.
Well, I think they're lucky to have you.
Oh, that's sweet.
And Mo Austin's there, and Michael Austin's there.
Yeah.
And I know if Michael Austin was at Warner Brothers, this trilogy thing would be happening. I know that for sure.
Yeah, Michael's a big fan of yours.
There's just nobody there anymore.
Yeah. Well, good people are hard to find, so I think that's part of the reason I went there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think you're right. If Michael Austin's a big fan of yours, so.
Yeah, no, he's always been really supportive.
Yeah.
But anyway, I feel I maybe talked about that a little bit too much.
Yeah, I feel like I sort of got you, sidetracked into that, and maybe it's sort of on your brain now, and I apologize if I led you into that territory.
Yeah, if you hear the brain clench entering my voice, it's Chris Douridas' fault, because I wasn't going to worry about anything till this tour is over. But I suppose 20 minutes from now, I can worry as freely as I did before the tour.
I'll take responsibility for it.
Okay. Well, I'd like to do a song called I think I Paddle My Canoe, which we wrote in a studio in Boston like this on a radio show before we were on tour before a gig, and
came out of an improvisation, right?
Yeah, and I really love this song. I have a hymn that I wrote called I Paddle My Canoe. Someday I hope to do a record of hymns. I'm just waiting to find the right choir, the exactly perfect choir. And then but the idea for I Paddle My Canoe sort of entered this improvisation. So now I have two songs called I Paddle My Canoe. And, okay. And
Jane, I was just going to say that Jane Siberry's with us, and we'll let you fly.
Okay. Oh, I don't like the look of today. A great gray cloud is rolling my way. So I move through the streets on my own, a huffing and a puffing and a feeling so alone. Oh, grandfather, will you wake up? Will you take up these threads? Oh, grandmother, I am walking on such thin ice. I wonder how I'll play tonight. And the fire's burning in the fireplace, and the windows crackle with rain. It feels like such a part of my place. So I leave my sleeping ancients, and I walk down the stairs, and I move to the edge of the forest, where I lay my heavy net. hey, mama, I wanna say, here comes my sweet puppy. Oh, seems like he's never far behind. Come on, come with me through the trees to the edge of the water, where we stand with a different peace. I push off from the shore, my sweet dog and me. I paddle my canoe across the water and home to you. Way back then, my grandfather sleeping by the fire. Way back there, my grandmother dreaming of desire. Way back then, my sweet family. I will return one day, but on this gray afternoon, there's something I must obey. So I paddle my canoe out across the bay, the end of a great, great day. My puppy and me across the water and home to thee.
Just want to let that. I just want to let that sit there a little while. It's so beautiful. Jane Siberry is performing live on KCRW's Morning Becomes Eclectic. I paddle my canoe. We have Tim Ray at the piano and Rebecca Campbell on vocals, and it's a Jane Siberry trio here in the studio. You recently completed some work with Joe Jackson for his new album, right?
That's right.
Want to say a little bit about that? Tell us what's going on.
Yes, he started coming to our shows in New York this fall and hanging out, and we'd always see his tall, very distinct silhouette standing at the bar, a little tilt. and he asked me to sing one of the songs for his new record, which he said I can tell people about if I want. It's called Heaven and Earth. It's about the 7 deadly sins, and he had different singers come in. My sin, the sin that I sang about was envy. And so I sang it.
And so, when is this due out?
It's a beautiful record. It's beautiful. Well, he doesn't have a label right now. He may by now, but he was just looking. He's really, a lot of people I think are looking to set themselves up in a different place for the end of the millennium sort of thing. Like people are looking to reorganize and reorder and get their shit together, so to speak.
He's been talking to classical labels, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I told him that I thought that looked like he was chickening out a bit, that he should either start his own label, that he was maybe, from the pop world, that he should be out there, in the thick of it all, not look like he... I don't know, I was like worried a little bit for him that way.
That it might be some sort of retreat?
Yeah, that he's given up when he should be, fully standing firmly in the pop world, which is a wide, wide world and should include people like him.
I hear your point, yeah. And on the other collaboration that I've been hearing about, it's Katie Lang. I mean, there's a song you've written that she's included on her new album.
Yeah.
Is there something we can say about that?
Well, don't. I think I've never written for someone like that before. So when she asked me to, she told me a bit what the record was about, and I won't say anything what it's about. But I sent her some words, and it was interesting because I love her so much, and to, like I sort of held her in my vision, and then tried to write for someone, and that was sort of new for me, and I didn't know if it would work. But she liked one of the sets of words, and so I wrote music for it, and she cut it, and because it's not. Because I didn't write it for me, I've been doing it live, and it's got worse and worse every night. Because it wasn't meant for me. That's a good sign.
That's interesting, yeah.
And so it really is a song for her.
Huh. Well, I think we probably have time for one more. Jane, what do you think?
Do I think you're right? Are you asking?
Does one sound good?
All right. Let's do. We've done slow songs, all slow songs. But it's a throwback from my father coming to my very first show, saying you gotta entertain people, you gotta keep it going.
Well, really, for us, whatever you feel would be a great closing statement, whether it's a ballad or
a good last song. I think. I'd like to do a new song called "In My Dream."
Wonderful. Thanks so much for coming down.
My pleasure, Chris, and it's. Really, I just think this is the greatest, the music you put out here. And once again, this room feels fantastic. It's just like filled with wonderful music energy.
Thanks for contributing to it. Jane Siberry in live performance.
Okay, In My Dream. My father, he is a running like a boy. He's running along in slow motion, and he falls in the leaves like a child, sweet laughing in my dream, in my dream. Oh, I'm running along with my mother. She's a giggling like a girl. We're hearing about all her hopes and schemes. There is light in her eyes. She is open, she is wise in my dream, in my dream, in my dream. It's October, and the leaves are floating down, oh, like a tiny yellow boats, each finding their own unique, particular way to the ground. There is joy on her face. She is sure of her place in my dream, in my dream. Oh, and the dog runs ahead of us, always almost out of sight.
We're listening to Jane Siberry in live performance on KCRW's Morning Becomes Eclectic. Jane Siberry on vocals and guitar, Tim Ray at the piano, Rebecca Campbell on co-vocals. Again, my thanks to Jane and band. Also, big help today from Bob Bloomer, Bob Carlson engineering this live broadcast, Ariana Morgenstern producing the calendar, our assistant today, Sterling Meredith. Our producer is Gemma Dempsey. I'm Chris Douridas, back tomorrow from 9 to noon. Tomorrow on the show, it's Gillian Helfgott, the wife of David Helfgott, pianist featured in the movie Shine. That's in the 10 o'clock hour tomorrow. Thursday on the show, we'll be joined by Joseph Arthur, a new artist. Friday, Fountains of Wayne at 11:15. Monday next week, Spearhead, Elliott Smith, Tuesday the 6th of May. Laurie Carson and band the 7th of May. Mark Eitzel, the 12th of May. Dutch band Betty Servier the 13th. Bobby McFerrin, Friday, May 16th. I have 5 autographed copies of Jane Siberry's self-released compact disc, Teenager, songs written when she was a teenager, autographed by Jane Siberry. 5 copies up for grabs. If you're a subscriber and haven't received tickets from us in the past 90 days, call us with your membership number 310-452-6700. These discs available first come, first served to our subscribers only. 310-452-6700. Monitor Radio News is up next. It's coming up on a minute after 12 noon.